Alright, so I figured I ought to show you guys a quick tour of what we're working with as far as a living situation. So, over here we got the sort of reading nook, which the dogs tend to own that spot. Over here we got my desk, so if I'm making a video, or if Caitlin's making a video, she's kind of got her little desk set up there too. Got the kitchen over here, and there. So I thought about deleting this propane cook stove actually, but decided against it. Having both is nicer. Some things just don't cook very well on the wood stove. You want to have some control over the heat. Anyways, that's our kitchen sink. So all it is and there's a better pump that I want to use. It's not quite as trickly. Doesn't use disposable batteries, but it tends to fall out. It's the pure water dispenser kind of pump that goes onto a water jug, and so what I'm thinking is either we switch to a water jug as our dispenser jug, or more likely I just need to slip something hard over the inlet hose for that pump so it doesn't fall out of the thing, and that should solve that problem. And then we'll switch to that, and it's USB rechargeable, and it has more of a default small amount of flow, which is what we want. This goes on the garden or into the outhouse, depending on the day and what we feel like. This is some storage. This is all just storage, mostly wardrobe, some other stuff in there. Same with the kitchen. It's got an assortment of things, lots of water down there. Got the litter boxes. Everybody's got their own assigned crate, because we've had some pretty major conflicts and things, so we've had to work on training our dogs out of their conflict. And I don't want to hear anything about it in the comments. If you don't know anything about it, just stop talking. Everyone on this channel hopefully knows that I don't really tolerate people spouting off about what they believe about what I'm doing in the comments. This is my channel, so don't go off about it. But here's our bookshelf. We've only got a few of our books on here. There's quite a few more in storage, but this is what we were able to fit on a shelf. Scratching post for the cats. This is the bed. View out one of the windows. We use a step stool to get up there. I'd like to build an actual ladder, maybe attach it there. I just haven't gotten to that point. And this is kind of nice because you can move it around and get it out of the way. Obviously, this is the most favored dog bed location, and Lucy is probably the one who dominates that spot. We do have an electric heater to keep the temperature up above freezing in case if the fire goes out. The wood stove, essential, pivotal, vital. It keeps it, I would say it's above 58 degrees in here. It's just that this floor is not insulated and it's a little bit drafty in here, so I think down low it probably is pretty cold, but the wood stove keeps it excessively warm in here. And this is a very homebrew creation, very much not an officially endorsed stove, but it works really well. Let's see. And you just prop this piece of wood in there. We had some shorter pieces of wood. I don't know what happened to them, but prop that in there to open up this damper, and then open up the door. As you can see, it's very homemade. It's kind of a rough cut, but it works really well. It's really thick steel, and have no problems with it at all. In fact, with the EPA approved stove that I had previously, the carbon monoxide detector would go off all the time. This one, it doesn't. Never had it go off. It does smoke you out if you let it, but that's pretty standard for any wood stove. And this angle, it goes up and then out, and then up again. And thankfully, this building is made of aluminum, so aluminum and steel. So, the aluminum could burn, but it would take quite a bit for it to burn. That's where we store the firewood. Right now, I've got clean clothes that just came over. A lot of the more excessive use of things, or substantial use of things like laundry machines and things, we just go over to my family. They're right across the street, so right across the road, so I don't really worry about, for example, being able to do laundry in here, because this side of the property doesn't really need laundry yet. If we have more people, maybe, but at this time we don't need it, and everybody here is on hauled water anyway, so we don't worry too much about having that many water-based facilities over here. We just have a dry cabin. The bathroom is a sawdust toilet. We do sometimes add things like wood ash to that. The outhouse is basically just where we deposit the stuff that's produced from that. And we have a separate pee bucket. Stay. These two like to fight, so I gotta keep them separate. This is how we did up the front of the container. Let me actually back up a little bit so you can get a better view. We built kind of a hokey fence. It needs to be fixed. We didn't bury the posts deep enough, so it wobbles. It's relatively solid, but it does move, and that's obviously not good. We've got this wood-framed wall in place of the overhead door. So this whole thing, I don't know if it is obvious or not, but this used to be the back of a box truck, rusty, that was cut off the box truck and was sitting on blocks. And our neighbor gave it to us, so we dragged it over here on a log sled. A lot of this is temporary, like the skirting I need to redo in spring, but I've kind of been rushing just to get us to some semblance of livable, functional dwelling before winter hits. And so everything has been kind of done in a rushed, not really finished manner. We need to still insulate the inside of this thing. That's our fridge. It stays pretty cold in there. It'll probably be freezing in the winter. Might keep it above freezing. One idea I had was to tuck it underneath. This, you can see where the propane hose goes in for the camp stove. I've used a system like that for years and years and never had problems. And I made sure to add a lot of buffer so that the sharp metal would not cut the propane hose. It's all just skirted with roofing metal. After doing that, I realized it's actually better to prop up the roofing metal on the side of the thing, at least for now. But because the dogs are in here, I had to do it kind of in a more sturdy manner. But this was these were the first two sides I skirted because I had to. And I got to clean up this little yard area because despite the fact that I want to leave that tree there, we're going to be bringing the snowblower in, and it probably won't work with that in there. Our electrical and Ethernet goes in there. You can't have Wi-Fi broadcasting to there, so we've actually got Wi-Fi over there on the electric pylon, so that box connects across the street to another router, and then that router connects to my family's internet. So we got 3 hops to get over here. It's quite a distance, but the Ethernet cable then circumvents that final hop, goes under here, goes under the front porch, and goes in there. And that gives us Wi-Fi inside the container, because as soon as you walk in there, you lose your internet connection. So we've now got it kind of stable to where you can walk all around the property and you can walk across the street and there's internet consistently. So you could have like a phone call and be pacing around and you've got internet consistently to make that phone call. It's decent enough. It's Starlink. It's not the fastest, but it's pretty good. The skirting looks like this on the sides where I decided to do it less permanently because I don't want to leave it like this. I'm going to redo it later. That's what the outside of the stovepipe looks like. One of the things about being where we are, we have to burn a lot of soft wood, so you have to pop this apart and clean it out on a regular basis, and there's not really anything we can do with this stuff right now, so it's just going there underneath. That stuff is pretty flammable, so that's not an ideal setup, but we don't really have issues. Everything here is pretty wet, so this is what the back of it looks like. So what comes next? Well, oh, and this is our storage tent. So we've actually got more stuff in here, some firewood, things like that. I'm not going to show you in there, but it's a tent. It's got stuff in it, tools. But so where do we go from here, right? Biggest thing right now, stay rusty, is we need to fix this fence because this is not going to fly. And we need to insulate this thing. Stay. Rusty, stay. Sit. Stay. We need to insulate this thing. Oh, poor Rusty out there. That's what it looks like out front. Oh, hush. And this is, if you look out this window, what it looks like. So we need to insulate the whole thing. Obviously bare metal walls aren't really that great, so rigid foam, the pink stuff, the pink rigid foam with a vapor barrier probably is the way to go, and lots of spray foam. And we want to sheet the walls with something, probably utility board, really thin plywood. And then the final thing would be we want to build shelving everywhere because these shelves are not really the ideal dimensions. So you want to get rid of these shelves and consolidate stuff and compress it a little bit closer to the wall. Today, one of the things we're going to have to do is, because right now the roof is supported against snow load by that as a beam and those as posts, and they're just 2x4s. It had a third one in the middle, but I took it out because it just wasn't livable and we weren't getting snow yet. But what I'm going to have to do, because we're about to start getting a lot of snow here, going to have to replace those with something more sturdy. So I went ahead and milled a 4x5 beam that should go most of the length of the whole thing, and a couple of 4x5 posts, or 4x something posts. Well, it's 5x something. I think they're 5x6 or something like that, posts to support it. And then I'm going to put this post, I'm going to relocate it back as close to this wall as I can, like right here. We measured this is about 5.5 inches. So a 5 post, 5x something post here to support, and a 5x something post there to support right up against the bed. And that'll take this out of the middle of our living space, which I'm sure will make it feel a lot nicer and less claustrophobic, because we're only working with 160 square feet here. So you got to take everything you can get as far as space. But that is our living situation. Hopefully you find this interesting in some way. I know of other people that live in box trucks, mobile, but this is us stationary in one as our, first home on our homestead. We wanted to build a cabin, and we were going to put it right about there. But unfortunately, it just didn't work out this year. We're just not there. We got here late. We didn't have a whole lot of money set aside when we got here, and so we have to kind of improvise, and this is what we came up with. But theoretically, this coming spring, somewhere in the midst of or after breakup, as things start to dry out, we'll be building our cabin. And I hope you'll be there to see us do that. And hopefully the quality of my videos will steadily improve as I learn to edit and get more consistent with producing content. So hopefully you like, comment, and subscribe, do all that stuff. Helps me, makes me aware that people are actually watching, and that makes me happy and makes me want to make more videos, and it helps with the algorithm too, because in all likelihood, if you don't do that stuff, I just get buried by the algorithm, and that's that. But anyways, thanks for watching. Appreciate you, and have a great day.